Hey guys, we are here for another month once again, and this month we're talking about a couple things. One, being spirit-filled, teaching our students to be spirit-filled, and secondly, we're talking a little bit about games. And so we're going to do a bit of a special episode this month being December. And so we're here right now with Mark McMillan from Cold Lake, and we're actually at Vivid Student Leadership Conference right now. Mark drove all the ways down with a bunch of student leaders from Cold Lake, and so excited to have him here. So Mark, why don't you talk to me a little bit about what you have either seen effective or how you've incorporated teaching your students to live a spirit-filled life? Like what have you seen effective in youth ministry with that?
Our key focus this year has been on learning to discern the voice of God in their life and know what the Holy Spirit is saying to them. And we had this cool experience last summer where a bunch of them were filled with the Spirit and really were energized to want to go out and to evangelize. And so we went out onto the streets and went to Walmart and some of the stores, and they just started talking to people and praying and sharing testimonies and asking to pray for people. And I got to the point where they're like, I don't know if this is really working. And so we got to debrief and talk about this blitz mentality, just blitzing every single person that you see with the gospel and realizing that maybe that's not the best process. And so we've gone through this process of refining and saying, okay, well, what does God say about this? And we've been going and seeking God first and focusing on prayer, saying, God, who do you want us to focus on today? Who do you want us to speak to? And rather than just hitting everyone, being led by God and feeling prompted to talk to certain people at different times.
I think in Pentecostal circles, like oftentimes we've chased maybe the gift of tongues or whatever the case might be, and so many times we've made it about that is the end goal, when really it was about power to evangelize and to actually be able to see people come to Christ. And so how have you seen that play out in your youth ministry and amongst your teens? Kind of that whole idea of being filled with God's Spirit so that you can go out and actually witness and see people come to Christ.
When it comes to living by the Spirit, I know like in John 8:12, it talks about how Jesus says, I'm the light of the world, and if you follow me, you won't walk in darkness. And we're always encouraging our kids to remember who's in you, who the light of the world is, and to not be afraid to go into situations where people think different than them, where people are doing different things that they disapprove of, but to go in with love, go in not judging, but going in there and pointing people to Jesus. And they're eager and willing to do that, and they do it every day. So
that's awesome.
But there's also this element of seeking after God and seeking His voice and seeking words of knowledge and seeking, what is God saying for the situation, where it wasn't so much of that a couple years ago. And so there's definitely been a shift of wanting to hear what is God saying and responding to that.
So Mark, being from Cold Lake, how cold is the lake? Is it actually cold?
It is cold, heart-stopping, takes your breath away. Most times, even in the middle of the summer, it's hard to get in that water. You're inching in. It's either jumping off the dock and fully submerging yourself, or you're probably not getting in.
So it lives up to its name.
It does. Cold. It is a cold lake, and sometimes I call it cool pool. Makes it seem a little less extreme, but it is a cold lake.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mark. Really appreciate you being a part of this.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell people where they can connect with you online, whether it be email or social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our youth Instagram is clcc.youth, and our website is clcconline.ca, and you can find us at Cold Lake Community Church in Cold Lake.
Awesome. That's really cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Mark. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. And now we're going to move into some fun games and talk about that. So enjoy. We're here with Afope. And so we're so excited to be able to pick his brain a little bit on games and to hear a couple minutes from him. We're actually at Vivid Calgary right now. And Afope just did a session on games and how to lead awesome games, Pumpin Games, but not pumpkin games.
Not pumpkin games.
Not pumpkin games. Afope, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're serving?
So I currently serve at Benetton Pentecostal, and I work with Hunter as the junior high kind of pastor. I help lead the junior high program. I work with games, and I help preach and do all this stuff. And also I'm a small group leader, so I lead the grade 9 boys. So it's just been a fun experience, just getting to be a small group leader and also work as like the pastor in this role. So
hit us up with a few of like your top things like when leading games to keep in mind.
Come on, I think there are 3 P's
to
leading Pumpin Games, and Pumpkin isn't one of them.
Pumpkin isn't one of them.
It's not one of them. So the first thing I think is important to leading games is planning and prepping, and that just looks like having the proper materials, knowing where you get your games from, getting it from diverse sources, not just that one YouTube video with a guy who plays with tins, but like having, Pinterest and all these other sources where you plan the game ahead of time. So when you come in and you have the materials, then your students or the youth group will know you care about the game, because you're not just looking for stuff you already planned ahead of time. And if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right? And I kind of applied that into games. So I always make sure that the games are well planned, and so people know that this dude really cares and thinks about these games. I think that leads into the second one, which is practicing the game out. It's one thing I struggled with in my first year, because I had the planning down and I had the different websites, but sometimes I'd have a game idea, but I didn't really practice what that game would look like. And like I'd be in a situation where I had an amazing game, and turns out the game involves a blindfold, and a junior high kid could see through the blindfold the whole time. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't practice this game. So it's this idea of like practicing and knowing what that game will look like. Can people see this game? If I played this game, will I get sued for this game?
That's an important one.
That's a big one, is that do I need a tarp for this game? And this is like literally like one drop of something. It can literally be like a drop of like a red liquid. You look at the whole stage and there's blood everywhere or something like that. Or if it's like anointing oil, it's like freaking multiplied throughout the whole place, because there's just like a lot of things that you need to tarp and like practice and like see it, see the way it looks if you practice it. And that would just really help you moving on forward, because you're like, oh, I thought about this and I practiced this, and I'm good. And then the last P I would say is performing the game, and that looks like the co-leader of the game. Are they excited about the game? Do they care about the game? Do you care about the game? Are you excited? Because if you're not convinced that this game right now we're playing is the best game ever that we're playing right now, how do you expect to convince a room full of junior highs or senior highs that this is the best game ever? When you have that excitement, people will feed off that energy, and people will come out of that and want to be a part of the game. And this is also a humility thing too, because you will fail at some points, and you will have a not so good game, but it's coming out of that accepting feedback from your youth pastor or other small group leaders or other students. Like some students will come up to me and be like, that game sucked. And I'm like, what sucked about it? And they're like, did this. And I'm like, I could use that for the next game. Thank you so much. And it's having that humility to work from that like performance and like, make your game better.
Hope this has been encouraging and kind of helpful to you in leading games, or giving this to someone else in your group that leads games to help them think through a little better. So thanks, Afope, for joining us. I'm wondering, is there a fad that's right now out there, like a fad that everyone's into, that in 5 years we'll all look back and cringe when we look on it? Maybe 10 years.
For me, I would say ripped jeans.
Ripped jeans?
Come on. Because even like sagging was so cool when I was in junior high. That was just gross. So it's always something with pants, I think. Something with pants. I think so.
Something with pants will always go out of style.
Skinny jeans used to be cool.
Is there
like really skinny jeans? Do you remember those really skinny? Now it's just really awkward and weird if someone walks in with a skinny jeans. So you're just like, okay.
Is there a pair of pants that will never go out of style to you?
Wow. Like the MC Hammer type pants.
Okay.
Those ones, I feel like they have a little bit of like swag at any kind of era, I think. So like kind of joggers in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so.
There you go. You want your style advice? Those MC Hammer pants. It's always going to serve you well.
Oh, man.
So keep that in mind. Thanks, Afope, for joining us. Appreciate it, man. And
so welcome.
We'll chat with you guys later. Join us for Elements in January. We hope to see you there. Love you guys. Take care.